Hey Bougie click. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of traditional relationships, uncovering the hidden truths that Grandma never shared. Were these so-called good old days as virtuous as we imagine, or were they sprinkled with secrets and scandals? From paternity fraud to domestic abuse against men, we're peeling back the layers of nostalgia to reveal the complex realities of past relationships. If you're ready to challenge the myths and explore the untold stories of yesteryear, stay tuned. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more intriguing insights. Let's get started.
I'ma make you a fan.
What Grandma never told you about traditional relationships. When we reflect on traditional relationships, grandmothers frequently appear as symbols of virtue. Men often nostalgically yearn for the so-called good old days, desiring women who embody the nurturing, submissive, and loyal qualities they believe their grandmothers represented. On the other hand, some women share bitter stories, suggesting that Grandma endured in silence while Granddad enjoyed escapades with mistresses or established second families. However, a scandalous twist lies beneath these tales. Grandma may not have been as saintly as portrayed. Let's talk facts. I'm 37, and my grandma, born in the 1930s, was a prime example of the era when marriage was the bedrock of tradition. But let's be real, not everyone's grandma fit that mold. A whole lot of folks have grandmas who weren't even married, so this dramatized retelling of what our grandmas went through is just not true. The percentage of black children born out of wedlock has soared over the decades, from a modest rate in the 1920s to 24% by 1965, 64% by 1990, and now hovering around 70%. Sure, these numbers reflect societal shifts in marriage, economics, and single parenthood. But what really gets me is when women harp on the horrors traditional women went through, and then you find out their grandmas, sometimes born much later than mine, weren't even married themselves. It's like, come on, let's not rewrite history or act like every woman was living in some traditional nightmare scenario. The math, and the stories, say otherwise, and let's not forget the number of women who had children by other women's husband. Most of those mistresses knew that man was married. All's fair in love, war, and paternity fraud. While stories of men's infidelity in decades past are well documented, what's often glossed over is Grandma's own capacity for bending the traditional rules. Historical and contemporary cases of paternity fraud reveal just how common it was, and is, for women to blur the biological lines while maintaining the facade of a loyal, virtuous spouse. Let's talk numbers. Studies in modern times have estimated that cases of paternity fraud occur in about 1% to 3% of births in the United States. Though that figure may seem small, in real numbers, it translates to tens of thousands of cases each year. Back in Grandma's day, when DNA tests weren't even a concept, the rate may well have been higher, and the fraud much harder to detect. Anecdotes abound of older generations joking about siblings who don't quite look alike, with whispered admissions that these so-called anomalies might stem from entirely different fathers. The themes of reproductive control and trust in relationships are deeply complex, touching on ethical, societal, and legal implications. Verified cases and discussions highlight the gravity of these issues. For instance, the concept of reproductive coercion, which includes tampering with contraception, has been recognized as a form of abuse. Studies have shown that both men and women can be victims of such behavior, with motivations ranging from financial gain to attempts to control a partner's autonomy. One notable case involved a woman named Lauren Bell, who admitted to tampering with her partner's condoms to conceive without his consent. This case sparked significant legal and ethical debates about reproductive rights and the boundaries of consent in intimate relationships. The incident highlighted the complexities of reproductive autonomy and the potential for abuse in relationships. It also raised questions about the legal consequences of such actions, as reproductive coercion is not always explicitly addressed in the law. Cases like this underscore the importance of open communication and mutual consent in relationships, as well as the need for legal frameworks to address reproductive coercion effectively. Throughout history, numerous famous men have faced false accusations of fathering children, often driven by financial motives. For instance, Justin Bieber was embroiled in a paternity scandal in 2011 when a woman claimed he fathered her child, a claim he vehemently denied and disproved through a DNA test. Similarly, other celebrities like Jay-Z and Chris Rock have been targets of such allegations, with DNA evidence ultimately clearing their names. These cases highlight the challenges that come with fame, as public figures often become easy targets for individuals seeking financial gain or attention. While DNA testing has provided a way to resolve such disputes, the emotional and reputational toll on those falsely accused can be significant. False paternity claims are not exclusively faced by celebrities. Ordinary men often endure similar accusations that can disrupt their lives profoundly. While public figures might experience high-profile claims due to their fame and wealth, everyday individuals can also fall victim to false allegations for various motives, such as personal revenge, financial dependence, or attempts to secure benefits. These accusations can lead to emotional stress, legal battles, and financial strain, especially if child support payments are unjustly ordered before DNA testing resolves the dispute. The legal system provides recourse, but the damage to personal relationships and reputation can be difficult to mend, underscoring the significant impact of these claims on all men, regardless of their social status. The family secrets no one talks about. Older generations have their ways of keeping secrets, and family values sometimes served as a convenient screen for indiscretions. How often have you heard grandmothers and their peers joke about how some siblings in the family tree have different fathers, even though they share the same last name? These quips, often shrugged off with a wink and a chuckle, reveal a reality that's rarely given serious discussion. The family structure wasn't always as pristine as it appeared. In an era where social and economic survival depended on the appearance of a stable, nuclear family, women had their own ways of navigating their circumstances. If grandma found herself in an unhappy or neglected marriage, stepping out with another man wasn't entirely out of the question, especially if it meant finding emotional, physical, or financial fulfillment that granddad wasn't providing. The kicker? Granddad often wound up unknowingly raising another man's child while dutifully supporting the family. Abuse against men, a hidden reality. Domestic abuse against men has often been underreported due to societal stigmas and traditional gender roles. Men are frequently expected to be stoic and self-reliant, which can make it difficult for them to come forward as victims. This silence has perpetuated the myth that men are rarely on the receiving end of abuse, but the numbers tell a different story. Modern statistics on male victims. Today, data reveals that domestic abuse against men is far from rare. For example, in the United States, 1 in 9 men experiences physical violence, sexual violence, or stalking by an intimate partner. Approximately 1 in 4 men has endured severe physical violence from an intimate partner in their lifetime. In the UK, 1 in 3 victims of domestic abuse is male, equating to hundreds of thousands of men annually. These figures highlight that abuse against men is a significant issue, even if it doesn't always receive the same level of attention as abuse against women. Historical context: abuse in the past. In the past, domestic abuse against men was even more hidden. Traditional gender roles often painted men as the dominant figures in relationships, making it nearly impossible for male victims to speak out without facing ridicule or disbelief. However, anecdotal evidence and historical accounts suggest that abuse against men did occur, albeit in the shadows. Older generations often joked about henpecked husbands or domineering wives, which, while framed humorously, hinted at the reality of abusive dynamics. Without modern support systems or legal protections, male victims had few options for escape or recourse. Barriers to reporting. Even today, male victims face unique challenges. Stigma: many men fear being perceived as weak or unmanly if they admit to being abused. Lack of resources: shelters and support services for male victims are limited compared to those available for women. Disbelief: society often struggles to view men as victims, leading to skepticism when they come forward. The importance of awareness. Recognizing and addressing domestic abuse against men is crucial for creating a more equitable and supportive society. Abuse is never acceptable, regardless of the victim's gender, and breaking down the stigma surrounding male victimhood is an essential step toward progress. By shedding light on this issue, both in the present and through a historical lens, we can better understand the full scope of domestic abuse and work toward solutions that support all victims. What history teaches us about double standards. If the narrative around Grandma's fidelity proves anything, it's that human behavior transcends the bounds of time and tradition. Men of the past were often forgiven, or even celebrated, for their extramarital exploits, while women were stigmatized for even a whisper of infidelity. Yet, as the anecdotes and statistics suggest, Grandma wasn't just a victim of Granddad's indiscretions, she had her own skeletons. Thank you very much. The bitter truth is that no era has a monopoly on virtue or vice. Whether in the past or present, relationships are messy, humans are flawed, and traditional dynamics often carried their own set of secrets and hypocrisies. Let's not pretend that one generation was inherently purer than the other. So, what does this mean for today? The idea of returning to traditional relationships might sound appealing in theory, but reality has always been more complex. Grandma and Granddad's marriage wasn't necessarily built on unwavering loyalty, it was often upheld by societal pressure, a lack of viable alternatives, and, yes, the occasional indiscretion on both sides. So, the next time someone claims that the women of yesteryear were more virtuous, remember this: history doesn't lie, but it does have a way of leaving out the juiciest details. Grandma wasn't just knitting sweaters and baking pies, she was also living her life, with all the complications and contradictions that come with being human. And maybe, just maybe, the same way she forgave Granddad for his faults, he unknowingly forgave hers too. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the untold stories of traditional relationships. We've uncovered the complexities, secrets, and double standards that have shaped past generations. Remember, history is full of hidden tales that challenge our perceptions of the good old days. If you found this exploration enlightening, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another intriguing story. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on the dynamics we've discussed. Until next time, keep questioning the narratives and stay curious about the stories history whispers. What do you think? Was Grandma just as bad as Granddaddy? Let me know in the comments section. Stay bougie. Follow and support me. All links in bio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check description for more info. New episodes every day.